Hola, Good Girls. Gracias por escucharnos el día de hoy. Este episodio va a ser un poco diferente porque si escucharon el episodio anterior, sabrán que Brenda quiere hacer un episodio en inglés. Así que decidí seguir la corriente porque para eso son las amigas y aquí está.
Welcome to this podcast. Here you'll find experiences of neurodivergent women and their ways to handle adult life.
We aren't mental health specialists nor we hold every answer. We just want to create a discussing space for these topics.
Hello, Moon.
Hello, Brenda. How are you?
Good. Like enjoying this change of routine, this change of pace. You know, I have ADHD, so I really enjoy when things are not the same.
I think we have discussed this truly, but
Yeah.
having no resemblance of routine on my life, it's pretty chaotic for me and I don't really like it, but yeah, I think I'm doing my best. Yay.
I think that's the most important thing, right? To always like not handle it because I think sometimes we are told that we should like I think that in general, we are told that we have to handle or to go through or to accept some changes. Like life is not going to stop for you, right? But I think that also accepting and in a way trying to handle change, it's part of life sometimes.
Handling change as best as possible is something that you need to learn in order to have a somewhat stable, irony there, life. And I don't know. It feels weird trying to adapt to something that has nothing to do with you and something that you are not interested in the least minimum.
I can see that. Um, and I think that you're already handling or you're already tackling something that it's a topic that we have been talking about, and it's gossip.
You know, I heard a rumor, and I have always been awful at handling rumors
Hmm.
because I don't know, it's really hard for me to understand why people cares about them.
In what sense? Like why people even create rumors, or why people are worried about rumors being told about them?
Everything. You know, I think that the first time I ever fully understood what this kind of behavior was in middle school. Very early in middle school. I think I was like around fourth or third grade. And, you know, my classmates, we were in a not fully girls' school because there were also boys, but our groups were split. So they start gossiping about me and a boy who was my friend.
Oh.
We were friends. And it was pretty much something simple as friendship for me because I knew that he was a boy and we were friends, but that was everything it was.
Mm-hmm.
And suddenly they start this absolutely out of place weird rumor that we share bathroom stalls while changing for swimming class.
What?
I don't know. But it was just like, we just didn't. Why would we do that? It's just pretty much senseless. So I don't know. It's not bothering me in the least. It's just inaccurate. And I just don't want you to be talking things that are inaccurate around me.
So what I'm guessing is that in general, it's not that you were worried that people were talking about you, but that you generally didn't know why people felt interested in saying things that like weren't true.
Aside from not being true, why would you be interested in something that is just
Creating fake
uneventful?
information.
I think that that's precisely what I don't get this fake new idea because
Mm.
I think that due to the autism, I'm really good at spotting things that are not real. So it's just like,
Oh.
why would you care about something that is clearly not real? Where do you find
Actually,
amusement in that?
actually, I was gonna ask you something about that. Like, based on that, are you good at spotting people lying?
Oh no. That's a whole different thing. Because here comes another trait or
Uh-huh.
superpower, if you want to say it like that. That has to do with I have no freaking idea about, social cues and these micro expressions that people do when they are lying. And I'm good at spotting
Mm.
lies at a certain level. I'm not a master, nor am I, you know, a walking lie detector.
Yeah.
I do get my fair share of lies, but the problem is that I don't really understand why would you do something with ill intent.
And
You know?
are you good at lying?
I don't know, you tell me.
Yeah, because well, I will I wanted to go into that because I think that a lot of things when it comes to gossip, we have two types of gossip. Like the ones that you just mentioned, like just saying things that are not true in order to create like I don't know, pandemonium. I don't know. You want to see the world burn, right? But then there's the other kind of gossip of things which are true and then you tell them, but you don't realize that that's something that people wanted you to keep for yourself, which is
And
my case. A lot of things that happened when I was.
yeah, I was about to say that you are the one experienced with that. Because I'm really good at keeping secrets, mostly because I don't mind them, and mostly because I do forget about them.
I can see that.
But
Uh-huh.
tell me about it. Tell me, how do you handle gossip, or
Well,
how do
well.
you see it? What do you get from it? How do you experience gossip?
Now I understand, like everything that I understood from my childhood. That now, after being diagnosed, I understand that it had a lot to do with my ADHD. You see, when I was younger, I didn't have any friends because I was always this off kid. Like, you don't really know like what's up with her. Like, you just know that she's weird, right? You just know that she acts different. You don't quite guess what's going on with her. And I pretty much assumed, like I understood from the beginning that I was going to be different. And but I, like every child or most children, I guess I will want friends. I will want people to hang out with me. I wanted people, right? But from a very young age, I didn't understand context or when you should say or not say things. And I think that is was very difficult, and it's still very difficult for me, is lying. For a while, I tried to lie a lot when I was a teenager, but I was lied very badly. Like people who I met in high school have told me, oh, I obviously knew that you were lying, but I just thought that it would be rude to call you on your lie back then. And I was like, oh, okay, so I've always been bad at lying. From family secrets, like my mom or I will hear in a place like so and so is cheating on fulanito with another person, right? And I will simply say, did you know that fulanito is cheating on you? Like I didn't understand why people will keep this stuff, like they
Oh
were
my.
interesting.
So you were just a natural communicator. That's interesting. But
Hmm.
something that stands out, as you were pointing out, is that we are embedded in the Mexican culture, and gossip is like a
Ah.
big, big, big deal. We have like TV programs, we have magazines, we even have this culture built around gossiping in the office. And that's something that I have always resent because I'm really bad at doing so.
Hmm.
And whenever I was in an office setting, it was really hard for me to actually create a bond with other women because,
Ah.
gossip is also something that is pretty much exclusive to women, even if men are as, if not more, gossipier. I don't
Yeah,
know,
like men
more
are
into gossip.
more like I hear it, but I don't want my relationship to be based on that. And now that you mention it, that's one of the reasons why I had a hard time having a relationship with other people who were socialized women. And that is because usually when you wanted to create a bond between another person, you will give your secrets away, right? That will that's like an unsaid thing about female relationships at times, that how you handle my secrets is how I value your friendship. Like you can be trusted. And
But
imagine me, like I didn't understand that there were some things that people didn't want out in the open. So actually for me, handling this kind of relationship with women because of that was complicated. I had a hard nowadays I ask a lot.
That sounds, I don't know. It's between shocking and heartbreaking and weird. But you have a point in there that I have never even thought about. That you are treated according to how you handle things. And I think
Yeah.
that that's probably a reason I am such a good, quote unquote, good friend, because I never
Mm.
get into gossip and I have never cared. And, there's this thing nowadays in Latin America about
Yeah.
being funado or being canceled,
Ah, yeah.
as you would say. And it's just like, yeah, you don't look cancelable. I know you and
Hmm.
I have your back, but it's not like, I'm not making things up. I know that you are a person that shouldn't be in that kind of position. So I'm a lot less inclined to believe on gossip because I tend to understand the face value of the person.
It's interesting that you mentioned the fact that about being canceled nowadays, because I think that when we were children, especially in our generation, it was an unspoken rule that you didn't share your friends' secrets, even if these secrets were harming another person. And I think that nowadays it is more open to say, hey, if your friend is committing a crime or they're doing something that is morally incorrect, even if you have a very close relationship to this person, you should say something, right? For example, if you know that your friend is cheating on another friend, like uh, it will put you on a spot, but also you will feel like morally obliged to do something about it.
I think that times have changed, and I'm really happy that now relationships rely a lot less on gossip. As I have pointed me as I have pointed out many times, the fact that I'm surrounded mainly by neurodivergent people has helped me a lot because I do exist in an environment that has a little gossip. I'm not saying that
Hmm.
gossiping is bad. I'm not saying that it shouldn't be done. I'm just saying I'm not moral policing gossiping here.
Hmm.
I'm just
Well,
saying that I feel more comfortable in environments that do not rely that heavily on gossip. Because as you
well.
were saying,
Hmm.
you don't find yourself comfortable because you sometimes could spill the beans on
Yeah.
someone's secret. And I don't feel comfortable because I pretty much don't give a damn about things that happen that are not related to me. Not in
Hmm.
a pretty egoistical sense, but why should I care about something? I'm just saying something small. Let's say, did you know that Fulanita decided to wear the same dress as Menganita for the party?
Hmm.
They both look great. Why should I care? Or why is that something that is as important, as vital, as crucial as you are making it sound?
That in this case, I will say that this is pretty much your view from a neurodivergent person, because at the end of the day, usually the gossip that we hear or that you hear about is about neurotypical people from maybe stuff that we are already not interested in. Like, even if the person directly would tell us, oh, I repeated my outfit, we will be like, okay, so what's the point of that?
You have a
Uh,
washing machine.
yeah,
Congratulations.
yeah. But what if inside like a fandom or a special interest, there was like a gossip about it? Like, did you know that the person in this TV show is like is going to cancel, it's going to stop working there? So it's another type of gossip, but it's one that it will be more interesting to us. And I guess sometimes neurotypical people give more importance, like give more importance, like they put more weight into this kind of uh, things that we will think that are trivial, right? For example, my mom always says, because I am a crier, right? So I always like cry when I read a book, and when things happen to me, like, I don't know, something bad happens to me, I tend to not cry because I'm like, okay, let me handle this. And she says, it's funny that you cry for the most stupid things, but do not cry about the most difficult or the most harmful things. But the thing is that we give it different, like um, we think that one thing is more important than the other, right?
I think that our priorities are set way too differently. But I don't know. I also want to go back to this comment that you made because I kind of miss it about these new generations being more morally obliged, which is funny because, older generations often think that they are not into morals and that they are just like deviants and sick people that are just there for hedonistic reasons. And you see that they are like pushing movements like Me Too, like they are really involved in activism, that they really support
Yeah.
causes.
Going back to this idea of as you are saying, mm, how can I say it? Like, well, I think that it's not like it's something only for new generations. The fact that we want our specific things to be out in the open, but the way of communication has grown a lot ever since we were children. Like how the gossip goes around is also way different. Before, maybe the gossip that we will handle when we were teenagers will be inside of a small space like a school, or I don't know, a workshop, or even family, right? But now a lot of these gossips, even for younger people, like they grow exponentially because they sometimes share it on TikTok or in a big platform, and a small piece of gossip becomes everybody's business. And I think that this is one of the reasons why young people now think more thoroughly about the consequences of other people's actions. Like, for example, if I hear that my friend was abused in any way, right, and that the perpetrator is still out in the open, or is still like denying it, in a way, because they have access to a lot more information, and because they have access to people who they can talk to aside from their parents. Um, I think this is one of the reasons why they see the bigger picture and they say, okay, so this is not okay. I need to do something about it. And well, maybe before we will be like, oh, shocked or surprised or wondering about what we should do or something like that. I think that's another way in which new generations have changed.
But, I want to stop a moment in here because, as we pointed out on the bullying episode, this is some kind of behavior that should not be accepted nor tolerated, but
Mm-hmm.
something that we are really, really, really exposed to as neurodivergent people. We started this episode saying that I was pretty much unable to understand the value of gossip and that you had a hard time actually deciding what to keep as secrets and gossips. But I think that this can lead to neurodivergent people having problems, bigger problems other than bullying. I don't know, maybe extortion problems when you grow older that are related to this inability or just these difficult times handling the way gossip is handled. So I just want to make like small reflection in here. Sorry for the cautionary tale and ruining the mood. But I think that we should just reflect on our relationship with gossip because it's not good just to do as me and forget everything you have ever learned about someone. Nor is it good to just talk about everything you have learned about someone.
I wanted to mention, like, it's a very important like point that you make. We as neurodivergent people, especially teenagers and younger people, we are very prone to be victims of abuse. And sometimes because we do not understand the common sense, like quote unquote common sense, that everyone talks about, people can like try to put gossip as if it was something mean, something bad, and put the truth as gossip, or give it like this idea. For example, when we tell people to keep a secret because it's something that other people wouldn't like to hear. And in this case, talking about abuse, any type of abuse, right? And we as neurodivergent people, we do have a difficult relationship with secrets and gossip in general. So if a person who we think is usually the person that I go to when I have problems, but then they twist the truth in a way that I understand something incorrectly, we are put in a harm's way.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I want to stress because everything is jiggles and happiness until gossip impacts your life. And for example, this kind of thing that I can handle as office gossip, the classical one, I'm just putting it as an example. Um, did you knew that this person slept with their boss in order to get that raise? And it's just like, makes no sense. Why is everybody so interested in that piece of information? But that also leaves you like really vulnerable to spreading that kind of information or ignoring that kind of information, you know? You're pretty much always framed in that kind of circumstance because you are going to make a mistake if you share the information, but it's also not well seen if you don't do it. So it's just like, what the freaking hell's going on here?
So, in general, I think that's one of the reasons why we have a difficult relationship as neurodivergent folk with gossip in general. For example, and I could say that you, I think that this is a very autistic approach to say, I don't get why people will find that kind of thing interesting, but I do. Like, for example, if someone tells me Fulanito slept with another person, I will be like, why, where, why? Like, I am gossipy. I am interested in that, but I also like it because if people tell me their gossip, it's assumed that that person trusts me. So I feel better because they think that I am capable of knowing this information, or because they care about the input that I will have about one particular topic. Like, in my case, when I was a child, I was the one who read a lot of gossip magazines, who always was like, I have a very good ear, so I would like pay attention to the things around me. And then as I grew older, and I understood that people will like you more if you will give them information, I actually would, like, when I grew and I understood more about the topics of gossip, I will talk more than I should about myself or about other people, because I didn't get why people didn't want this information to be known, but I also wanted to be liked. And that's one of the reasons why I became a blabbermouth, and why a lot of people didn't want to share information with me anymore. And it's one of the things that happens when you have ADHD, is that you have this impulsivity, that you don't really think twice about the things that you are doing or the consequences of several things. Even if you have a very close friendship, like you think, oh, Menganita just told me something, and if I tell it to another person, they will also like me, and it becomes like a bigger thing than it was from the beginning. And I remember, like, the first times that I've I exchange words with people who are autistic, who now I understand that they're autistic. Before I will just think, they're weird, right? But like you would, and they will always give me this kind of point of view. Like, I will tell them, did you know Menganito did this? And they will be the first one to tell me, like, why is that important? Like, I don't care. That person is not important to me. And that will throw me out of a loop, because then I wouldn't know how to handle that information. It wasn't until I grew older and I was in therapy and I understood the consequences of oversharing. And not even like oversharing information about other people, oversharing my own personal information, which a lot of people with ADHD do. Like, we overshare a lot about our lives. We meet a person and immediately that person knows everything about us. For me, I think it's good. For me, we that I already learned how to handle it a little bit better. I think that it's normal. It's good. Like I usually tell people from the very beginning, one, that I have ADHD, and two, that I'm gay. And if people don't like it, I'm like, okay, I'm an open book. If they don't like it, it's on you. It's on them.
I think now that gossip is like a kind of currency. As you were saying, you are giving out in order to be liked. And I just don't like to spend because I don't see the point in doing so. But the thing that you consider, um, but getting to understand this point that you are making about feeling trusted by having gossip shared to you, it's really interesting. As I have always thought that gossiping meant nothing in trust terms. You know, I knew that I was really good to hear and keep secrets, hence gossip, and that is pretty much my value as someone that can be trusted. But I have never even think about it in trust terms. You know, it was just, yeah, I can listen to you and I won't tell anyone about it because I don't see the value in saying it to someone else that is not involved in this situation. But it places it on a new light, and it's really weird because now I get to think about how much people actually trusts me, and I don't know. Now I feel weird about it.
I can see that. Um, I think that in general, what I do now is asking, asking, asking. It's not the only thing that I've had like questions about, like how to people, right?
Hmm.
Like how can I handle, like our podcast is like, we handle this kind of like world being neurodivergent, for a world that is not made for us, for a common sense, quote unquote, that is not, that didn't take us into account, right? That doesn't take us into account, because still it's something that we have to handle. Now that we are adults, we do of course adapt much better and understand when we are, what is being asked of us. And in general, I also feel much more comfortable now that I'm an adult in saying, you know what, I didn't understand what you were saying. Can you rephrase it in a way that I can? Well, when I was a child, I will be very stressed because I didn't want to appear different. So even if I didn't understand like social cues or situations, I will refuse to ask about it.
Yeah, everything lies again on how do you understand things and how do you understand your relationship to things. And yep, everything comes
Mm-hmm.
again to how do you handle things.
Yeah,
And yeah, and the world that is not going to change because of you and the ways you have to change because of the world.
yeah.
So
And that's
yeah,
another thing. Like, you guys, if you feel like you are not like good at people things, you don't know how to people, it's okay. Like, I assure you that even neurotypical people go through their lives without understanding many things, and they just do it, which is, for some of us who really like structure, is unheard of, right? And going back to one of the things that we mentioned at the beginning, one of the things that I have is that I am a very bad liar. But I'm also like, I don't understand why I should lie. Like I am this kind of person. I don't know if it's something about my ADHD or just how I was raised in general, but I feel very stressed if I lie about something. Like, why should I, right? And before, like when I was asked to lie or to keep secrets, I think that it also has to do with the fact that there's a lot of uh, how can I say it without sounding very crude? A lot of violence in my family, in the history of my family. And one of the things that my parents tried to tell me from a very young age was that secrets were bad, and people who told you to keep secrets were bad. And I think that in general, that's something that is scary nowadays. That's why sometimes I say, Jesus, like it's difficult to tell a person when to keep a secret, right? And the context of it.
I think that keeping secrets should be like an episode of its own because it also has a lot to do with being neurodivergent, how we
Mm.
handle secrets, as we were pointing out through this whole episode.
Yeah.
But the repercussions and problems surrounding secrets,
Hmm.
I think that that actually deserves a time of its own.
Yeah. And it's because in general, what can we count as gossip? Like, is it just personal information about other people that we shouldn't be sharing? But at the same time, how can we understand that something is a secret that should be kept, right? Or that something is gossip that was made up by another person? Like, how can we spot a person lying as well? It's complicated.
Hmm. I think that you are pointing out to various pain points that we have as
Hmm.
neurodivergent people. But I think that as long as it's not going to hurt anyone, as we were setting the examples
Yeah.
of I'm repeating my outfit or someone is wearing the same outfit as
Mm,
someone else, I don't think that it should be a problem. I think that's sort of gossip
mm,
in which you are not harming anyone and in which you are not, I don't know, compromising someone's safety or dignity.
mm.
They are pretty safe to share if you can, if you will.
I
You
get
know,
it.
I don't know, I kind of created this kind of chart for myself on which gossip I could share or not in the office. And things like, did
Mm,
you saw that Menganita went to a new nail salon yesterday? She was
mm-hmm,
flaunting her nails, and we should ask her. And that was like pretty safe thing to play
mm.
because you are getting yourself into the dynamic, but you're not hurting anyone. I don't know.
I can see that. As you mentioned, if it's complicated because a lot of gossip, as you mentioned, like let's say for the sake of the episode, that we think or we see only you and I, like not even like giving an official concept or limitation for gossip, that we see it as this kind of information that is not harmful, that a lot of people share in order to get like this negative information that can be true or not, that people share in order to get validation. Like,
Mm-hmm.
did you see that that person is bad? Like, that person is ridiculous. That person is ugly. Like, what do you think about that? And I think one of the reasons why we as neurodivergent people like are have a bad relationship with gossip is because we are the subject of gossip a lot of the times, because we are different, because we do care, we do repeat outfits and we do repeat the things that we eat. And as you were saying, like maybe you have a different, I don't know, gender expression or sexuality or something like that, right? Or we are quirky because we have strange interests. So of course, if someone comes to us and tells us, "Did you see that that person is different?" We're like, "How can I explain to you that I also am different,
I
and
am
I'm
as
out of
different as them.
yeah, like I'm the most different." And in my case, I've said it before, I suffered a lot of bullying when I was younger, and there were a lot of things said about me, of course, and it will hurt me, and I will feel bad, and in my case, I especially when I was a teenager, I would feel a lot like I don't know. I think that if people said things about me, even if I knew they weren't true, like the fact that they even took like interest into harming me, it will hurt me and I will feel very bad, to the point that when I finish middle school, if someone laughed behind me, I will have like panic attacks because I will assume that people were laughing at me, right? And it took like a lot of years for me to be comfortable like with these kind of situations, like these social situations, or to try to even get friends.
I think that getting by this kind of situation, this kind of social situation in which you are exposed to gossip on either end is really hard to grasp. But I don't know. I would like to hear about your experiences, and how do you handle gossip? Or even if you don't understand gossip as I used to do, as
Yeah.
small Mon used to do. But yeah, I don't know. We thought that talking about gossip or gossiping was an interesting topic to try to tackle as for our
Mm.
first English episode.
Yeah, because I think this is one of the episodes where we wanted to set some ground about what we're gonna be talking about. For example, today we realize that maybe in a further episode we will want to tackle the idea of secrets and information and how sometimes the way that we analyze things can put us at harm's way. And I think that for the episode was it has been really eye opening because once again we have these two sides of the coin. In these two sides of the coin. On the one hand, you always were a very trustworthy friend because gossip it wasn't something like that you were even like worried about. And in my case, I thought that it was currency, and because of that, I always been thought as a bad friend.
Yeah. Also, we want to hear about your opinions on this language change. We are not going to change the whole format
Yeah,
of the podcast. The point is to make
yeah,
it in Spanish. We decided that it was meant to be in Spanish in order to share information and to have
yeah.
some kind of product in Spanish. But from time to time, it will be also nice to have this kind of spaces in English too. Because as you may know, if you know who you are, lovely, lovely, adorable, and really loved person that hear us in the United States and the people that listen to us in other places that are not precisely Spanish speaking countries. We would also like to hear your input because we also want you to know that you are heard and you are understood.
Sure. Yeah, and I think that the fact that we have a lot of information about neurodivergency in English is one of the reasons why we also wanted to tackle one episode about it. Apart from, of course, um, if you know us, you know that in general we do tend to change from one language to the other. And once again, not because we want to be obnoxious about it, because there are ways or brain sometimes feels better at handling personal information when it's in a language that is not our native one. So from time to time we like to spice it up, change it up.
There's a lot of science on that, and we could discuss it in our next episode if you feel like it. But for the time being, we just want you to let us know if you like this, if you don't like this, how do you feel about it? And to come back, porque el próximo lunes regresamos a hablar español.
¡Wii! Y recuerden,
Yo soy Mon,
yo soy Brenda.
and we are.
Good girls. Yay!
Bye!
Bye.